What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more punk rock. And we're going back for more from The Creeping Tide. Once again, big shout out to Ben. And indeed, I was thinking the other day, I've only reacted to one or maybe two of the tracks from Ben's AAA release, which I need to get back to that and react to, I think, two more. I think I did two from it. Either way, I will get back to that soon, but we're going to keep going through his punk rock project as well. And indeed, there's a whole other album that I've yet to get to, so yeah, but the next tune on the self-titled, or the first album, is No Questions. So yeah, it immediately makes me think there's an old school rap song, an Eazy-E song called No More Questions, but no, in this context, and in light of the old school punk attitude and ethos of this album, which, you know, has come across very clearly even as we get through, you know, like the first half, we're not even halfway through it. I would say No Questions might speak to people being, you know, uncritical or non-critical in the way they think about things, or, you know, accepting something without asking, you know, where it came from or what the significance is, or people who, you know, were told one thing and, well, that's just the end of it. Obviously, you know, there's no need to, you know, investigate further or to ask questions. It could be about the attitude of, you know, powerful forces, like, no, you're not allowed to ask questions. No questions, please. Indeed, it makes me think of a press conference where they just announce some, you know, policy change, and like, no, we're not taking questions on that. No questions. So, yeah, there's a few different ways I feel like this could be relevant, but I imagine it'll have some critical turn to it, which is to say a sort of condemnation or an indictment of either the way people think, or the way powerful forces operate, or the way that certain changes in society are, you know, sort of presented with no opportunity to inquire or look into the matter and be critical. So yeah, let's find out which, if any of those things it is. This is Ben Fraser's project, The Creeping Tide, and it's the, what is it, the fifth? I apologize, I'm trying to remember, the sixth tune on the self-titled album, The Creeping Tide, and it's called No Questions. Oh! Sonically, this is already one of my favorites, like right out of the gate. That guitar riff. That echoed vocal. I like dragging that vocal into the chorus. Yeah. Some Social D vibes again. Which I'm learning more about correctly. They're going through their early stuff right now. just old school perfection. And shout out to you, Ben, for the shouting vocals in this one. The first one that like kicked it into the higher gear. That was like really a great moment. I feel like I've said this a few times. Probably my favorite so far of all the tunes that I've heard. Certainly on this album. The recent one, that was fantastic as well. But yeah, it feels, I didn't catch all the lyrics, but it does feel like it's someone who's admitting they're not asking questions about what's happening, how or why. Also, it sounds like it's maybe saying, there are forces that don't want you to ask questions and, don't allow you to ask questions. It feels like there is maybe both sides of that, but it also felt like more emotional that like, if you can't cope with it, like you can end up like, crying about things that like you just can't process. Like it feels like there's an emotional layer to this concept that I wasn't really considering in advance, where I was thinking more outward into society and politics and so on. So yeah, that's cool. Again, some of my favorite punk tunes, they do have that like, okay, so asking questions, well, that can be about out in the world, but it can also be about what's going on in here. And sometimes like, I don't want to think about how I feel, because if I do that, then I have to like actually process this and acknowledge maybe that there's some change of behavior that needs to take place or so on. Or that, I have unresolved, like, emotional issues related to things that have happened. So yeah, it feels like it's one of those, like, really keen or, like, insightful punk rock tunes that, like, it hits larger scales and a more personal scale through the same lines, and you can sort of take them in either direction. Either way, what I did here, I enjoyed, and it feels like on some level it was speaking to the concepts that I considered in advance. Once again, shout out to the vocals, again, the like shouty ones in particular. It can't be an easy thing to do. It's, I think of someone like Dick Lucas from Subhumans, and, there's a lot of moments where he'll really let it fly, and it's like, it's an intense sound, but it like fits the sonic atmosphere of the Subhumans tunes so damn well. And that moment, and again at the end too, it was on that same level of like, that's exactly what the tune needed. So again, shout out to Ben. I will get back to that AAA release, and whether it's 2 or 3 tunes, I'll go through the others, because all 4 of them are, they're all good tunes, and they all speak to what I love about his tunes in the electronic world, which is that like, a lot of them are, for all intents and purposes, acid techno, but they have this Psy styling, this, psychedelic bent to them, which again, if you know some of his work as Sabretooth, it's not a surprise at all. I love this sort of, the intersection of some different flavors. So again, shout out to you. Let me know what you think of this one, and I will see you next time. Oh, and I did want to mention, shout out to Pauly. I was like, oh, it's giving me some Social Distortion vibes here. Pauly has sent me a couple Social Distortion records, and I've been going through their debut album. And indeed, Pauly tends to see all the punk rock reactions I do. So if you see this, shout out to you, Pauly, not only for providing me with a lot of music, but then it's also like informing other things that I listen to in the punk rock world. So yeah, shout out to you as well. Let me know what you think. I will see you next time. Peace.